Hey, welcome back to Hammer's Garage. In this video, we're going to work on Winston's steering system. Not on your life. It's breezy out here today. We're going to replace this box. So we have to undo these lines, this rag joint, and the lines from the power steering pump. This is the pump. And I'm actually going to completely remove the pump so I can flush it or clean it out. So I think we're going to start by taking off these lines that run from the box to the pump. Okie dokie. And I will set it down here so that I don't remember and can't find it later. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. The other two for the power steering pump. There's one here, and then if you look, it's down here. Oh, dang, dinner's ready. It's just going to be sticky until the very last thread. There's a nut and a lock washer. Down here, I believe that to be, oh, crap. Ratchet went to Never Never Land. I had to go retrieve it. Come on. Hell, for all I know, the pump will just fall to the ground or something. Nope. Okay. I want to keep this belt here in place. Now, let's see if we can fish this out of here. Ow. Fingers! Look how basically bone dry that was. That thing should be pouring fluid. This is delicious. It's peach. Anyway, this is a remanufactured pump that we picked up at the auto parts store because the other one was real cruddy. It had a bunch of gunk in it and chunks of stuff, and I didn't trust it not to ruin our new expensive steering gearbox. This was only 50 bucks. You get a pulley puller, you pull this off, you unbolt the bracket, swap the pump. They needed the core back, put the bracket back on, put the pulley back on. We'll put this back on the truck before we do anything else. Now I gotta see if I can remember how this joker goes back on here. It goes in there. I'll wait just a minute. No, that goes there, stupid. This goes here, that goes there. That goes in there, back there. All right, there's a belt. Let's get it around the crank pulley first. We're going to use leverage. Learned about this in school. Stay in school, kids. You can learn all about leverage. So the next thing we need to do is get this Pitman arm off of here. And I don't have a socket that big. So, breaker bar and a crescent wrench. This seems completely safe and appropriate, right? It should be fine. No neighbors were harmed in the making of this video. Now we have our puller, and we're going to put this puller to work now. And it's either going to pull this arm off or knock some teeth out. Got the Pitman arm off. That was kind of sketchy. I did loosen it from the center link because I felt like it was binding. But we get the new gearbox on. We'll get it all centered and straightened up. Move this coupler slash rag joint. We'll take the box off right quick. There's 4 bolts on the inside of the frame rail. We'll just undo those and the box should drop right out. I took the steering shaft off because I only want to do this once. So I'm going to clean this up and paint it before I put the new box and coupler and everything on. And the boot looks like it's in good shape. But what I want to do is try to pop this spring out, take the boot off so I can clean it up real good, and then repack it with grease before I paint it. Okay, we got all these pieces cleaned up good, so we're gonna get them painted and then we'll put this thing back together. Okay, we got these cleaned up and painted, so we're ready to put the steering shaft back together. Some of you are out there asking, why are you going through all the trouble to make the steering shaft look that good in a crappy engine bay? Well, that is a very good question, Mr. Smith. Let me answer that for you. Because right now we're just focused on getting Winston drivable. But eventually he's going to get a new power plant and everything. This will be staying in the truck forever. So since I had it apart already, it seemed like a good time to get it fixed up. So we're going to pack this thing full of goo. I'm just going to cram it all down in there. This is high temp bearing grease, which I'm pretty sure is what you're supposed to use, but yeah, I guess if I'm wrong, something bad will happen and I'll know. So we're going to just pack this in here, and if you get it squished in there good, you should see it. And it's starting to come out right there, so that's good. These little things, I don't even know what you call them, but I know they go on here. Let's pull that boot up. They go on here like this. And as I squish, it's going to squeeze the grease out, which is fine. Ta-da! Okay. Then we have this that goes on like this. And it just holds them in place right there like that. Forgot my washer. Now I'm going to take this and slide it on there, and it is going to squish grease everywhere, which is fine. And we're going to push the boot down in there. Okay, I can actually wipe a lot of this off now. And now we'll get our ring on. There's our freshly assembled steering shaft. And then we know we got it greased well because it came out of here quite a bit. And then this slides over the shaft that's on the truck. And then there's a bolt that goes through, and there's Loctite on that. So, since I undid it, I will put fresh Loctite on it when I put it back in. Let's go put it back in. All right, we're going to put the steering shaft back on, and if you'll notice, this bolt It's like a carriage bolt and has a square head underneath. There's a square side of the shaft and a round side. And the way I know I'm putting it back on right is because the square side was on the passenger side of the truck. That's just in this case. And for you, you know, who knows. But we're going to slide this back on and bolt it in place. I already cleaned up the shaft down here. And hopefully it doesn't give me any grief. Okay, here's our new box. This is by Borgeson. This is the part number. I got it from Summit Racing. It's a 12.7:1 quick ratio steer box. So this is definitely an upgrade. You also need this coupler, and that's the part number there. And it doesn't come with it. So make sure you buy this if and when you buy this. So what we need to do with this box is to make sure that it's in the center position before we put it up there. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to protect these splines best I can, and then just gently put a vice grip on here. This is the top of the box. So actually let me reposition this vice grip so that it's kind of square with the top of the box. Not too tight now, we don't want to mess the splines up. Okay, so now what I'll do, and I don't know, there might be an easier way, or somebody else does it a different way, I don't care. So this is the top of the box, so I'm going to go all the way to in one direction. Okay, that's all the way. Now, this is where my vice grip is, so I'm going to count how many turns it gets all the way to the opposite direction. So that's 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. And just to make sure, I'm going to go back again. So 1, 2, 3, and it stops. So now I know that if I go 1 full turn, 1, and then 1/2, I'm in the center. The box is in the center. That's good enough for me. And that makes sense because the flat spot of the shaft is straight up. It's got a pin in it, but I always like to check. So one thing I didn't mention is on this new coupler, there's a set screw right here with a lock nut, a jam nut. You want to make sure that's backed all the way out, otherwise, you know, you're going to have trouble getting into those splines. I mean, it's not quite as heavy as, I don't know, a boulder. Let's see if I can get that. So I'm trying to get it on the splines. Okay, we're on the splines. Now I just need to get a bolt in it. No, don't worry. It's not heavy at all. Just, you know, take your time. Really, it's absolutely fine if you just take your time. Got the Pitman arm and the linkage all put back together. Admittedly, I had a little help from my attitude adjuster. And then the torque on this is the German type, good and tight. I got the box on. We'll snug up the coupler. And as long as this don't fall and strike me in the face, then we'll be friends. All right, now we're gonna put our hoses on. Comes with new O-rings, and you need to lube those up. So I just hit them with a little PB blaster, and we'll get this one too. You don't want to. Well, come on out of there. Juice, please. Thank you. Get our clamp on. That's probably what I should do. Is turn the clamp so you can reach it from the top side. But really, you're gonna have to get under here anyway. So the next guy will just have to, well, the next guy is gonna be me, so it doesn't really matter. I'm really anal about this. I want this on here. All right, I like to use Lucas power steering stuff. Everything's brand new here, so I want to use, you know, something quality. Okay, now that we have the pump, the lines, and everything all hooked up, basically you just, well, what I do is fill the pump full of fluid, get the truck running, and then turn the steering wheel all the way each side back and forth to bleed the system. Well, that feels pretty good. I think we got it figured out. The only thing left to do now is take it for a drive. But before we can do that, I need to address that frozen caliper. We'll do that in the next video. So please like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Hammer's Garage.